Welcome to the Explainer. If you're building with AI right now, you already know it's a lot. I mean, it is completely overwhelming. New models drop practically every week. Benchmarks are constantly shifting, and honestly, the marketing hype makes it almost impossible to know what tools you should actually be using. But what if you had a dedicated team of human curators, basically cutting through all that noise for you? Well, that's exactly what we're exploring today with the Daily Picks Network, and specifically their highly specialized catalog, PicksByModel. Here's the roadmap for this explainer. 1. The human curation promise. 2. The AI model catalog. 3. Ranking AI by task. 4. Qwen 3.6 for long form. 5. Top free AI models. And 6. Making sense of costs.
All right, Section 1, the human curation promise.
So before we get into the really technical data, we kind of need to understand the overarching philosophy here. Because let's face it, we are all way too used to algorithmic sludge and those SEO stuffed listicles that are just designed to steal your clicks. The Daily Picks network operates on a completely refreshing promise. Every single site in their network, whether it's covering board games, real estate, or in this case, AI, guarantees human curation. There's zero pay-to-play, where companies can just buy a top spot. And no trending engagement bait. Just useful things picked by an actual person who looked at it. The site itself is the product, and it's totally free of paywalls.
Moving right along to Section 2, the AI model catalog.
So, how exactly does this human-first philosophy apply to something as deeply technical as artificial intelligence? Well, 368. That is the sheer scale of the database we're talking about here. PicksByModel is currently tracking 368 different AI models across 60 different vendors. It's pulling daily updates from catalogs, compiling the pricing, the modality, tool support, basically throwing the whole shebang into one unified place.
But listen, just tracking a bunch of models isn't enough, right? The crucial part is how they actually evaluate them. And these 368 models are ranked head-to-head against 82 real-world tasks. That completely proves we aren't just looking at some generalized, lazy top 10 list. This is highly granular, functional data designed for builders.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, ranking AI by task. The idea of a single, one-size-fits-all AI, yeah, that's a complete myth. Look at how the best model completely shifts depending on the actual job you're doing. If you need flawless, performant SQL generation from natural language, OpenAI's GPT-5 takes the crown. But what if you're building an app to reply to customer support tickets? Google's Gemini 2.5 Flash is actually the #1 spot there. Or maybe you need really accessible alt text and detailed image descriptions. For that, you absolutely want NVIDIA's Nematron 3 Nano Omni. This kind of task-based curation is a real game changer because it aligns the technology exactly with your daily workflow. Let's dive into a really specific example in Section 4, Qwen 3.6 for long form. Now, to understand why this next specific model gets recommended, we need a quick refresher on a critical metric, context length. This just refers to the maximum amount of text, data, or tokens an AI model can process and maintain coherence over at one single time. Basically, it's the model's short-term memory. When your input text is massive, you need a model that can read the whole thing without suddenly losing the plot halfway through.
Enter the Qwen 3.6 35B A3B model. Get a load of this. It boasts a massive context window of 262,144. That is huge. This unparalleled context handling is exactly why it's the editor's top choice for maintaining coherence over super extended, detailed texts.
But as you know, there's no free lunch in software architecture. You're always facing a critical trade-off. You get that massive context window, sure, but you end up sacrificing rapid response times. The larger size of the Qwen model can definitely lead to increased processing latency. So if your app demands lightning-fast, snappy responses, you might actually have to opt for a smaller model, even if it kind of limits your long-form capabilities.
But see, this is where that human curation really shines. Instead of just dumping the raw data on you, the editor gives a specific, actionable insight. They note that for applications where detailed, lengthy responses are absolute table stakes, the latency is honestly less of an issue. Their final verdict? For long-form generation tasks, the additional context Qwen 3.635BA3B provides is well worth the potential latency increase. It is exactly that kind of synthesized takeaway that makes this catalog so incredibly valuable.
Okay, switching gears for Section 5, top free AI models. So what if you want to deploy top-tier AI, but you need to do it on literally a $0 budget? Well, the catalog actually tracks 33 completely free models, but one is absolutely dominating the rankings right now, and that is NVIDIA's Nematron 3 Nano Omni. This is a totally free model that is just punching way above its weight class.
Check this out. Out of all 368 models, both paid and free, Nematron 3 sits at number 2 overall. But more specifically, it ranks as the number 1 choice for image captioning, making it just incredible for visual accessibility tasks. It's also number 1 for cheap bulk inference, which is exactly what you need for high-volume jobs. Throw in a 256,000 context window, vision capabilities, and tool support, and you have an absolute powerhouse that costs you absolutely nothing.
Finally, let's talk budget in Section 6, Making Sense of Costs. Of course, not everything is free, and when you're scaling up AI operations, fractions of a penny suddenly start to matter a whole lot. Looking at a side-by-side comparison of the top 3 cheapest models on the market, we are talking incredibly low costs here. Mistral Nemo costs just 2 cents per million input tokens and 3 cents per million output tokens. Meta's Llama 3.18b matches that 2-cent input cost with just slightly higher output costs. If you are a developer running millions or billions of tokens, this is pure gold. But hold on, cost isn't the only factor. Even when you're at the very bottom of the pricing tier, context limits vary drastically among these exact same budget models. While the Llama 3 variants sit at roughly 8,000 and 16,000 token limits, Mistral Nemo offers a massive 131,072 limit. So if you're building a budget-friendly app that still needs to process relatively long documents, the data clearly points you straight toward Mistral. And that really brings us full circle. 368 models tracked. 82 distinct tasks ranked, 0 noise. By abandoning all that algorithmic hype and relying on structured human curation, PicksByModel takes a completely chaotic landscape and transforms it into actionable, functional insights. So the absolutely crucial point I want to leave you with today is this. Stop asking, what is the best AI model, and start asking, which model fits my specific task? Seriously, think about your own daily workflow. Are you generating long-form text? Writing complex SQL, or maybe processing bulk data? Look at the specific tools designed for those exact jobs and just start building. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll catch you next time.